Yesterday we had readings from the very beginning of Mark and almost the very end of Mark, and now today we're in the middle of Mark. This is chapter 7 of Mark, verses 24 to 30. From there Jesus set out and went away to the region of Tyre. He entered a house and didn't want anyone to know he was there. Yet he could not escape notice. But a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit immediately heard about him, and she came and bowed down at Jesus' feet. Now the woman was a Gentile of Syro-Phoenician origin. She begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. Jesus said to her, "Let the children be fed first. For it is not fair to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." But she answered him, "Sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." Then Jesus said to her, "For saying that, you may go. The demon has left your daughter." So she went home, found the child lying on the bed, and the demon was gone. The word of the Lord.
Thank you, God.
The first verse of Mark, the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Mark is in such a hurry that he doesn't even bother to put a verb in the sentence. Now, if you wanted to tell the good news about Jesus Christ, would you include this story? Well, it has a happy ending, but Jesus comes off pretty badly. He's sexist, he's arrogant, he's racist, and he's just plain mean. So preachers have always been challenged by this text, and we have usually tried to fix it. So one of the ways that we fix it goes something like this. My friends, Jesus was testing this woman to see if she had enough faith. And when it was clear that she had faith, he cured her little daughter. How's that? Except that neither Jesus nor the woman say anything about having faith. So maybe we needed to try something else. We can always turn to the Greek. And in Greek, the word for dogs there is a word kunarios, and it really means little dogs. You know, puppy dogs. So it's not so bad, is it, to be called a puppy dog? Well, she'd still rather be called herself. The thing is that Mark didn't clean up this story. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't try to explain it. He didn't make Jesus look like he came off better than he really did. He just tells this story. And he paints a very clear picture of this woman. She is a Gentile. Now that would have been enough to say. She's not the same religion as Jesus. She was a Gentile. But then the text goes on. She was a Gentile of Syro-Phoenician origin. And again, the Greek is much clearer. It says she was a Syro-Phoenician by race. So she was not only a different religion, or if she had any religion at all, she was also a different race. Okay, we get what Mark is trying to tell us. She's not one of Jesus' community. Some people say she shouldn't have even been talking to Jesus in public because only prostitutes talk to men in public, well, that means that she was not only a Gentile, Syrophoenician by race, but she was also morally suspect. I mean, I don't think we have to go there. We don't know that about her, but she seemed to be somebody that was breaking the rules. And Jesus says to her, after she begs him to heal her daughter, Jesus says, let the children be fed first, for it isn't fair to take the children's food and throw it to the little dogs. Maybe Jesus was referring to her daughter as a little dog, her daughter as a puppy. She doesn't take that. She is very savvy, and she tosses Jesus' words right back at him. Yet, sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. She must have seen this, because Gentiles were sometimes known to have dogs in their houses, and they would eat the children's crumbs. That's what my dog would surely do. And then she says that again, sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. You can call me a dog, but I still want my daughter to be healed. And then Jesus says, for saying that, you may go. For saying what? She didn't say, my Lord and my God. She didn't say, I confess my sins. She didn't say, I have been born again. She said, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall under the table. For saying that, you may go. For saying the truth. For speaking the truth. That's what she was doing, because she knew somehow that Jesus had already fed the children. 5,000 people were fed. Remember? Chapter 6, 5,000 people were fed with bread and fish, and there were how many baskets left? 12. Yes, good. 12. People who have heard Mark's gospel would have known that 12 was enough for all of the tribes of Israel. She said, the children have been fed. Now, surely with 12 baskets left over, there must be something for me and my daughter. For saying that, you may go. The demon has left your daughter. And she went home, and there was a little girl lying in bed, and the demon gone. Jesus was changed by this woman. It wasn't a test. It was Jesus searching for something that he had never encountered before. He went there to get away, and he was changed. Now, if Jesus could be changed, maybe we can be changed. I think Mark left this story in. He couldn't have told every story about Jesus, but he chose to leave this one in for a reason, because he knew that in every generation there would be people that we would put under the table. She was Syrophoenician. It sounds kind of like a denomination. Syrophoenician, Episcopalian, Presbyterian, Lutheran, they all end the same way. And you know how it is. I mean, even other religions like other endings, Methodists and Baptists, and those with long names that we know by their initials, AME, AMEZ, CME, RCA, Roman Catholics, Pentecostals. We can find some reason why other religious groups are really, well, not as good as ours. When I was in high school, I had a little charm on my watch that said, I am a Lutheran on one side. And the Luther rose on the other side. I assume it was in case I was in an accident. and they would know to call a Lutheran minister and not a Catholic priest. So, we have ways of thinking about other religions. Some of them are too spirit-filled, and some of them are not spirit-filled at all. Some are too passive, some are too emotional, some are all justice and no Jesus. Well, we have ways of putting almost any other religious group under the table. But she was not only a Gentile, a different kind of religious person, but she was a Syrophoenician by race. Jesus should not have been surprised because he went purposely to Tyre. That's Tyre, not like something on a car. Tyre. He went to the country of Tyre, which was really an enemy kind of territory. I think today we would call it one of those S-hole countries. Really. A country, we don't want any of those people from those countries. As I said at the Wednesday forum, we want more Norwegians, which, for Lutherans would be a great deal. So we have been really hoping for more Norwegians to come. I think that she dared to say to Jesus, Syrophoenician lives matter. And then one of the disciples, I'm sure, was thinking, all lives matter, Jesus. Because somebody always says that the minute that we say Black lives matter. Mark wants us to hear this story for our own situation today and always be asking, who is under the table? Who have we put under the table? Jesus went there. I think he went there, as he often did, trying to get closer to God, to have a time of quiet, to have a time of prayer. And I think indeed what happened to Jesus in Tyre is that he did get closer to God through this woman who gave him a new vision of what it meant to say, the kingdom of God has come near you. He heard someone that he never would have expected to be part of that kingdom become a person who taught him what it meant to see the kingdom of God. It can happen to us. My guess is that it's probably happened to everybody here in some way, that you have found God in a person that you never expected. A conversation with someone who is incarcerated. A conversation with someone of a different religion. And you went away thinking, I have sensed the presence of God. Just think of what those of us in this sanctuary who are white, think of what we have learned from African American people about persistence, of never giving up in the face of insurmountable odds. What we have learned about hope when there seemed to be no reason for hope. And I would say here, what we have learned about Jesus through songs and witness and prayer, what we have learned about Jesus from African Americans in this country. Jesus came in that story to see a more expansive vision of God. I just found out this morning, because a friend of mine emailed me, this happens to preachers at the last minute, and you wish you had more time to think about it. But today is the 150th anniversary of the birth of W.E.B. Du Bois. Towering figure in American history. And he wrote The Soul of Black Folks, among other things, but today he would have been 150 years old. Born in 1868 on February 23rd. I had never heard this story before or heard of this song. He's speaking to other black people when he says this. He says he's talking about how you sing, in a sense, a national anthem. At that time, he was talking about "My Country, 'Tis of Thee," which was kind of a national anthem. Probably would have been good if it had stayed our national anthem, because you can actually sing it. But he was talking to people who had themselves been slaves, and he said, "Now, here's how I want you to sing. Arise, gradually remove your hat, and tilt your head. Then sing as follows, powerfully and with deep unction. They'll hardly notice," meaning the white people standing around you, if they are standing near you, "they will hardly notice the little changes that I've made in the text. But your conscience will thus be saved." And he just changed it slightly. "My country, 'tis of thee, late land of slavery, of thee I sing. Land where my father's pride slept, where my mother died. From every mountain side let freedom ring. My native country, thee, land of the slave set free, thy fame I love. I love thy rocks and rills, and o'er thy hate which chills may my heart with purpose thrill to rise above." He sang the song, but in a sense he took a knee, because he wanted this country to be what we say we are. And off in the corner, way in the back, the Syrophoenician woman and her daughter were singing along. Listen, and you will hear them.